Topanga? Topanga. Topanga.
Topanga. Topanga. Topanga. Topanga.
Topanga! Topanga! How was that? Was it good? Hope it was good. I tried. Now, before going on, I would like to address that when you are watching a series or a show on TV, there is a fourth wall there. Not everything you are seeing on that screen is reality. There are writers and actors who are creating characters and stories and circumstances, but what happens behind the scenes doesn't always match what's on the screen. I say this to call to light some of the allegations, accusations, and downright inappropriate behavior that went on apparently behind the scenes of Boy Meets World during the time Trina McGee, who played Angela, was on the show. She has since come out and released tweets talking about the racist comments and behavior of her castmates during the show's run. She expressed that she was called Aunt Jemima. She expressed that there was exclusion. She expressed that there were other comments made. And this whole situation is very disheartening, to say the least. It's particularly disheartening because it shows a disconnect between the characters we know and love and the actors that are playing those characters. Gratefully, there has been some humility and responsibility taken by 3 of the cast members who were accused. 1 having been absolved of any involvement. However, it's sad to hear that up to this point, it looks as if Ben Savage, who played Corey Matthews, has not yet spoken out or even spoken to Trina McGee about his involvement in these accusations. It's sad because it shows a strong disconnect between Corey wanting to be friends with Angela to Ben not even wanting to speak to Trina. As a fan, it hurts my heart to see this happen. As an actor, it's also disappointing to know that when we're playing roles, more often than not, there has to be a disconnect in order to make the show happen, and doesn't automatically mean that offset things are going to be hunky-dory. However, I do pray for Ben Savage. I pray that he does find humility, and I pray that he does find it in his heart to apologize, or at least address the issue and not ignore it. And I pray that there is reconciliation between the two. Alright, now that's out the way, let's continue. I've recently binged the entire series of Boy Meets World, and I have thoughts, primarily about these 2. The show, by and large, was one of the best, most enjoyable sitcoms I've ever seen. What made this show work for me, outside of the intelligent writing, time period it aired, Eric, the lessons and values it taught children and adults, was these 3. Sean was in many ways just as much of a protagonist as Corey. A lot of the riskier and emotional issues they spotlighted Sean in, such as the cults, drinking, truancy, absentee parents, insecurity, promiscuity. This dude kissed a lot of people. And he seems to be the one character who grew the most over the course of the show. And as much as we love Sean, the heart of the show came primarily from these 2. Without these 2, there really couldn't have been a Boy Meets World. At least not in the way we remember and know it now. They're funny, likable, and rightly balance each other out. They also make it a point that they are their own whole people, separate from each other, but better together, which I believe is the perspective most people, if not all people, should have going into a marriage. We should not be 2 halves. We should not be, incomplete without the other person. We should be whole people with or without them, but yet us together is better. I envy Corey. because I don't yet have my Topanga. What Topanga represents: independent, intelligent, a role model, and not afraid to stand on what she believes in. She also gets emotional and appreciates when Corey steps in to defend her. Can you believe that? A strong female character who's actually in touch with her feelings and doesn't need her man to be less than? Wow. Can you believe that? The show deals with a bunch of stuff and goes a bunch of different directions, but the heart of the story doesn't change. Minus a few things, I was very immersed throughout the duration of this particular series. I've watched this show on and on earlier in life. I forget how I was introduced to it, but it was earlier on in life, and since then I've kind of been watching it on and off, not watching it in order, just kind of finding different episodes and things. And one day I said, you know what? I kind of want to watch the story because I kind of want to see how these characters get here. And so one day, last month or some weeks ago, I turned on episode 1 and didn't stop until the last episode. To be a show from the 90s, 80s into 90s, to be however many years old, it holds up surprisingly well. And it's because of the themes that are so inseparable from life. Like, we live these things out just as human beings every day. Those aren't going to change, and so no matter what time period it's in, there's always going to be something that you watch, that you see here, that you can kind of take from. If I was to rate this show out of 10, this is a solid 9.5. I didn't like the regression they did with the characters in certain moments. There were certain parts of the show where I felt like they were doing a little too much. There were certain points where Corey seemed a little too dumb, even for him. There were certain moments where they did too much with Eric. I mean, I'm sure Will Friedle had some therapy from doing. They all had some therapy, I'm sure, but Will did a lot for that show, and deserves his flowers now for what he went through. But it was worth it to see that final scene in the classroom and to have them all kind of give that send-off. It was such a really a perfect book ending. I mean, to start in that classroom with that cast, to end in the classroom with that cast, it was really a smart choice by whoever made that decision. It was very smart. So until next time, I pray you guys are safe. I pray you guys enjoy the rest of your day, night, morning, week. And please pray for me that I also continue to strive to be better, and that one day I find my Topanga. I'm waiting. Please, wherever she is, I'm waiting. Anyway, till next time, peace and deuces.
Class dismissed.